Okay, now look, somebody asked me one of the craziest damn questions in the world, but I gotta answer it because I want to be transparent and I want to be 100, right? So they asked me if they change their status over, right, from being a U.S. citizen, and if things don't go right while they being sovereign, they said, can they turn back to being a U.S. citizen? And the answer to that question is yeah. You can change your status anytime you want. Anytime you put on the government document that you are a U.S. citizen, you change your status over. Anytime you specify that you're not a U.S. citizen, you change your status over again. Now, it doesn't eternally do it unless you go through the State Department, but you get the concept because really citizenship is contractual. So every time you admit that you're a citizen, then that's the changement of your status right there. So if you change your status over to being a non-citizen national, right? That means a state citizen, and you go right back to being a U.S. citizen. The Department of State will upgrade your information and change it back over, right? And then they're gonna have jurisdiction over you when they run your passport. Ain't that do not detain shit don't pop up no more. It backs to full address, you being a U.S. citizen, and you go right back to their jurisdiction. And so that right to travel, right to bear arms without a license, all that stuff out the window. But to answer everybody's question, yeah, you can change your status over anytime you like.
Nothing this man just said is even remotely close to being true. There is no such thing as a do not detain list. Rather, let me correct that statement. There is a do not detain list, but it's not something that you can personally put yourself on. Now, if you're on a do not detain list, that is a bad thing. That means the government is watching you and they don't want the regular authorities to arrest you because the feds or some other big entity is investigating you and they're going to eventually come and lock you up. Now, all of this back and forth, can you go back to being a citizen if you change your status to being a sovereign? Can you go back to being a citizen? First of all, there's no such thing as being a sovereign. That's number one. Number two, if everything that he's been kicking and teaching is true, why would anyone want to go back to being a sovereign? If his information is right, once you become a sovereign, then you can pretty much do whatever you want. So if that is true, there would be no reason to ever want to go back to being a citizen. The problem is there is no such thing as turning over to be a sovereign. It's fake. And even if you are quote unquote sovereign, you're still on U.S. territory, so you still have to abide by the U.S. laws, point blank period. You don't have immunity. So it's all a joke.
On a serious note, right? Okay, now look, this is for people who want to be a juror or who is about to be summoned to court or who already have been summoned, right? And this is some of the things that I want a lot of potential jurors to learn. A lot of times when you go to these courts, right, most of these courts are administrative courts. They're dealing with maritime law. And maritime laws under like a colorable jurisdiction. And what a lot of jurors need to understand, in any criminal case, don't look at the facts or the evidence that's being presented. Look at the constitutionality of what's being charged, right? So what I mean by the constitutionality of what's being charged, say if it was a gun case, right, and it's a felon in possession of a firearm. Now, and a lot of times they would deceive and trick the jurors to believing in the fraudulent jurisdiction without even challenging or questioning the stipulations or the laws at hand, because they don't understand what's going on at all. You know, a lot of people think they are exercising their Sixth Amendment right by a trial to jury, but the juries are programmed like robots. And if you know the beginning of every criminal case when it's dealing with an indictment, a lot of times ex parte. That means there's only one side to the whole position. So that means the prosecutor is bringing up a case to a jury and fabricating the entire story without any rebuttal. That's just like if I went up to an individual and I said, he killed me, he shot me, he beat my ass, he did this, but it's nothing to controvert or go against what I'm saying.
This man cannot be freaking serious. He is now trying to give advice to people that will potentially serve as a juror in jury duty for the courts. This dude is an absolute joke. Nothing he said even remotely made any sense. He said all of the court cases are one-sided. So you're telling me you've never seen a court case where there was a defense? Like, what the heck are you talking about, sir? Then you bringing up somebody coming in and say, oh, they killed me. First of all, how could somebody come into court and testify that they were killed? Once you're killed, that's it. You're dead. Can't testify. What are you talking about? You make absolutely no sense.
So that person would have to somewhat believe me. And I said, you agree? And if he say yes, then we in agreement. So a lot of jurors out there is really getting this, being tricked by the prosecution and the judges, and they not having a fair understanding between the two different parties. They don't understand the federal United States and the organic United States that's rise under the Union states before the Reconstruction Act. Start understanding our country's constitution and start realizing that the federal United States is a corporation. You don't believe me? Look at 28 United States Code, section 3002, subsection 15A, and the United States is a federal corporation, right? So you have the federal United States and you got the Union States of the United States of America Republic, right? So before y'all about to become a juror, check this video out. Look up the Second Amendment to the Constitution, and that's self-explanatory. That's not even up for debate. A lot of people want to misinterpret it. They want to have a fabricated opinion because this democracy is taking over. So a lot of people who are about to become jurors learn the Constitution, learn common law. So when you learn common law, you will know the maritime law is bullshit. All right, y'all, I'm out. This video right here is a response to a brother who I'm doing business with at the moment, right now. This whole entire video is for only one person who I'm doing this transaction with. It's going to be brought up in the future, but I just need y'all to understand with full disclosure about what I'm bringing to the table. The title of this video today is called Schedule D. Many of you guys who don't know about it or who do know about it understand that it's a tax form that deals with profits and losses, right? And a company can file it quarterly, daily, weekly, yearly, however they want. If they ever acquire assets as far as like capital gains, or if they ever took a loss, right? And they can write off on it, right? Now, people ask like, what's the whole purpose of understanding this form? This form is a legal loophole and remedy on how a lot of people can make transactions with a fiduciary agent, and they able to write off on those purchases. A schedule D is in place for any time that the company doesn't make profit or doesn't make the money off the amount. They can write all that off using a Schedule D, and it can eliminate the factors of a 1099A. It can eliminate the factors of a 1099 OID, because what you are doing is you are changing the element on what we was taught versus what is actually going to be done for the betterment. So this is how this whole process works. You see a car, right? Say if the person you're dealing with owns the dealership, his own mortgage company, his own real estate company. So you do the transaction where you got the borrower, and you also got the seller. So the seller right now, he got the dealership, he got the car lot, right? And he got something called a floor line, right? A floor plan. A floor plan is pretty much a line of credit that can that the major companies who sell the cars can give you throughout the times of you being a dealer. So if you got a contract with Ford, you got a floor plan. You got a contract with Toyota, you get all floor plans, lines of credit. So if you was in contact with a dealer, what they can do is they can give you a car and write it off on a Schedule D. And what you can give them in return is a promissory note. Do not overcomplicate a promissory note. It's only a template that you write on paper for the full amount and the full satisfaction of the payment of debt. And also a company can transfer that amount and write that off on a Schedule D. So So the transaction will go like this. You got the dealer, you got the borrower, right? The dealer is filing on behalf of the transaction. He's not even dealing with the borrower. The borrower / beneficiary. He's only dealing with the transaction. So if he wanted a 2022, say Tesla, whatever the case might be, right? And he wants to transact that business agreement, and what the person can do is he can write the full amount off on the Schedule D. So if he wanted $150,000 or $200,000 for it, that's how much the promissory note would have to be written out for. And if he write that promissory note, that is proof, just in case you was ever audited by the IRS, just in case they tried to charge you with any fraudulent activities, you would know you within all of your legal realms to do so. So the Schedule D is pretty much set up where if a company doesn't take profits in that whole transaction, is considered a loss. Anytime a company don't even make a penny of their profit, it's a loss. So if I got a $300,000 building, you pay me $300,000 for the whole building. I broke even, but at the same time, in the corporate eyes, that's a loss. Or even if I sold a building for $299,000, but I bought it for $300,000, that's a loss. And trust me, they take all of it. They don't take, I just want my dollar back, or I want $500 back. They want the whole damn $300,000. And these are legal loopholes that a lot of people can discover down the way. We went through the 1099 process. That didn't work. We see everything how it's functioning, but the more closer we get to understand how the tax system works, that's when we be better off to understand that it's not about what you know sometimes, it's about who you know. And I found somebody who has a dealership, somebody that has their own floor plan line of credit with these companies like Toyota, Tesla, and all that. So since he has this line of credit, he can utilize me as a beneficiary, right? But at the same time, I am teaching him because he taught me something I wasn't even thinking about. And it's not a Schedule C, it's a Schedule D. It's a difference. All right.
Wow, that was a lot of horse manure to digest. This scammer went from giving legal advice to giving financial advice to giving advice on how to scam the dealerships or the IRS, how to scam and get a free car, as if someone walking into a dealership and letting the owner of the dealership see your video, and the owner is going to say, hey, you know what he's saying is right, so let me do you this favor, and you can write me this promissory note, and if you don't pay, then I'm still good because I'll just write the car off. Like, what in the doohickey are you talking about? How do you come up with this nonsense? And why in the world are people listening to you? Well, I know the type of people that are listening to you are scammers. They're bums. They're looking for these quote unquote loopholes and tricks that because they're bums and they don't want to do things legitimately. They want things the easy way. So they'll listen to your nonsense and pay you for a consultation and find out the hard way that all of the stuff that you are talking is complete rubbish.